Welcome to FranCoach's Franchising 101 podcast series. Here we talk about all things franchising. What is it all about? Is it for you? How do you find the best one to own? And so much more. Now your host, Tim Parmeter.
Hello, everyone, and thanks for tuning in to the latest edition of FranCoach's Franchising 101 podcast. I am Tim Parmeter, founder and CEO of FranCoach, and your Franchising 101 host. Today, we have one of our franchise partners joining us today to talk about their brand. Well, and that's technically not true because it's not just one franchise, but this guest is one of the largest franchising groups in the entire world. And it would require all your fingers and toes, and you may have to borrow some to count how many franchise brands that they have under their umbrella. So we're going to learn all about what it's like to be part of a big group like this and how it can help you succeed as a franchise owner. First, a quick little reminder on FranCoach, who we are. We are a national search firm dedicated to working with individuals who are interested in owning a business. We are partnered with over 600 of the top franchisors in the country, spanning nearly 60 industries. Our goal is to help clients find the absolute best franchise for them to own. And the goal of the Franchising 101 podcast is to help educate you on all aspects of franchise ownership. So today we're excited to talk to our wonderful guest, who is the Vice President of Franchise Development for Neighborly Brands, Mr. Pat Hyland. Pat, how are you, sir?
Good, Tim. Thanks for having me today.
We are just thrilled to talk with you, and big fan of everything going on at Neighborly. We've had a couple of your minions on in the past to talk about specific brands, but we want to really hear everything about Neighborly and just really some of the amazing benefits of having such a huge support group behind you. So before we start pummeling you with questions about Neighborly, we care more about you. And here's a question I don't even know the answer to for you, Pat. Tell us how you got into this kind of crazy thing that is franchising.
I don't know if anybody ever plans on getting into franchising. They find themselves there, right? And this year will be my 30th year of working with and around Neighborly. The first 17 years, my wife and I were living in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. We owned a manufacturing business, and we used to manufacture equipment for the service space. And that's how we got to know many of the Neighborly brands at that time. And like the Rainbow Internationals and the AirServes and Mr. Appliance, and sell them our equipment to the franchisees, as well as other franchisors and independent contractors. After we sold that business in 2010 to a venture capitalist, I was going to go down the path to Tim Parmeter and consider being a franchise coach and helping people and aspiring entrepreneurs find the right opportunities. So I started getting all these agreements together with these franchisors I developed relationships with over the years because I love that space. And one of them was Neighborly at that time, who I truly admired because of their culture and their code of values that they lived through, not only through their growth team and their leadership, but also down through their network. Well, long story short, they said, hey, we just launched this new brand called the Grounds Guys, and we want you to consider moving down to Waco. And my wife was like, Waco? Waco wasn't cool back then, Tim. And we didn't have Chip and Joanna Gaines and all that stuff going on. We were known for other things, actually. And so came and worked directly with Neighborly now for the last 13 years. And another interesting fact is my wife and I are also multi-unit, multi-concept owners of our own. Of franchising. We believe in this space. We believe what franchising can do for entrepreneurs, for them and their family and their legacy. So it's not and by the way, that's true for a lot of our associates in some way. They really live out what, we coach, and we help people, as they go through a quality decision-making process.
Yeah. And your comment and your story is pretty similar to most. I think there's really been, of all the people I've had on, I've asked that question to. I think there's only one person that didn't kind of dumb luck their way into it. And that guy's dad had owned like multiple franchises, right? So he got sucked into it at birth, basically, right? So but what happens is like you, me, so many of us, is like, once you get into this, you don't leave. You might move around a little bit, right? Or there are people that do what you do, like, or with, work for the franchise, but then you own them, or you do what we do and you own them, or vice versa. And we talked before coming on air, right? I'm technically on both sides with doing FranCoach. My wife and I own franchises. She's on your side of the world. So like, again, once you get sucked into this thing, you don't get out. So I'm still kind of confused on how you said Waco wasn't cool, as if you were implying Waco is cool now.
It is cool now. It is,
okay.
Right when we moved here, that's when Baylor started doing well. Chip and Joanna started showing up. The city and the town of Waco looks completely different than it was years ago. As a matter of fact, we've had so many people from throughout the country and really throughout the world move to Waco now, and they've built a lot of really good infrastructure, and it's turned out really nice.
And you can do the tour of the Chip and Joanna Gaines houses, correct?
You got it. It's only 4 blocks, 5 blocks away from here. You can go to the silos, jump on a bus, and go throughout Waco.
Yeah, kind of crazy. I was there actually. What was that, last the summer or fall somewhere in there, tagging along with my wife because she had to be there, and like there was like this saw the silo, and I'm a little ignorant because I've never seen one of those episodes, right? But I got a quick education on that. So super cool. So Neighborly, we have lots of different brands, and lots isn't a number. So what's the actual number we're at these days?
32. And let me give you a little history on that, Tim. Neighborly, then known as the Dwyer Group, when we initially started back in 1981 from Don Dwyer, the first brand was Rainbow International, which was actually a carpet cleaning and dyeing franchise back then. But obviously when DuPont Stainmaster came around, they kind of had to redevelop, the brand, and now they're fire and water mitigation. Well, when I came on board, which was almost 30 years after they had launched their first brand, we were only the brand that we launched at that time was the 7th brand, the Ground Skies. Wow. And at that time, we had just over 1,300 franchisees doing about $230 million a year collectively in all sales. Today, we're at 32 brands worldwide, doing almost $4 billion a year with over 5,500 franchise owners throughout, and almost 2,000 corporate office employees to help support our franchise network. So, our goal in the past, Tim, was to be the largest home service franchisor in the world. Well, it took them a while to get to that point, but they ultimately achieved it. And at that time, they said, okay, we achieved the goal. What do we do next? And that's when they really made the transition to Neighborly. Because when you have so many brands under one umbrella, servicing the same customer, the focus was to change the name to Neighborly, and the goal had changed to where we wanted to become so remarkable that we became a beloved household name. So really helping consumers, just like you think of Amazon as a beloved brand, like getting products quick, easy, fast, delivered right to your home. We want people, when they start thinking home services, for anything within their home, that you think of a Neighborly brand.
So if I want to come back to the home service thing here, because I definitely want to talk about that before we get into some of the support mechanisms that Neighborly has for their franchise owners. But if I were to say, I'm going to put 60 seconds on the clock, could you rattle off all 32 in 60 seconds?
If you wanted me to, I can get this done close. I could. You want me to just go for it real quick?
Okay, hold on. Let's see. So I'm going to give you a countdown here. Okay, let's see if we can do it. All right. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
The Glass Doctor, Mr. Handyman, Air Serve Heating and Air, Rainbow International, Bright and Beautiful, Molly Maid, Precision Door, Shelf Genie, Mr. Electric, Dream Doors, Locatech, Mr. Appliance, Dryer Vent Wizard, Real Property Management, Restoration One in Canada, the Grounds Guys, Mosquito Joe, Countrywide, Grounds Care Maintenance, Window Genie, Housemaster, 5-Star Painting, Mr. Rooter Plumbing, Drain Doctor, Portland Glass, Cumberland Country Glass, and Junking.
We had like 20 seconds to spare. Take a breath, take a drink. All right. So all home service, and certainly want to get into some of the connectivity, because I think you guys, as you really kind of made that switch from Dwyer to Neighborly, how interconnected everything is, right? Because again, you are that trusted provider for that, whatever that home service project is. Let's talk about home service, I guess, kind of why the focus on home service, and what do you see with that industry kind of current and as we move forward?
First of all, the why home services is because it is a very, very stable business. It doesn't matter who's in the White House. It doesn't matter what the economy's doing. It doesn't even matter if there was a pandemic. Our brands continue, Tim, to do very, very well because we really focus on three things: repair, maintain, and enhancing the home. And why is that a big thing? Well, because those three things we focus on things that are happening. The homes today are aging so much. The average home in America today is 38 years old right now. Now, think about that. And there's over 1 million homes being built every single year still. So these homes are, aging, and they're going to be needing work around them. The other thing is what we don't do, Tim, as you'll notice, is we don't get into the new construction, the building. And why is that? Because it is dependent upon the economy. It is dependent. And by the way, they're usually lower margins and you're always chasing your money, where when you have needed services, these customers are going to have these services done no matter what's happening in their community or in the economy.
Yeah, it's I think, and I know probably the majority of your brands in 2020 rolling into 2021, you're almost like embarrassed at how well everybody did when there are people that really got in industries that really got hurt, because like, again, those things are never going away. If it's, it may be something where it's, you're coming to do the landscape at my house or clean my house, but all of a sudden it's I'm in Arizona, and if summer my air conditioning goes out, that's a pretty big need. I don't care what's going on in the economy, or you mentioned rainbow, there's water, whatever. Like, these things are just never, ever going to go out of style. They don't win the award for the sexiest business in the world, but the sexy ones are the ones that are going to have the roller coaster ride or fade out at some point, right? So, this, I know this may be a little bit unfair question, because you've got 32 brands, but are there a commonality of traits in the individual you're looking at for an owner just within Neighborly, not so much specific to the brands?
We have the candidates that we consider for our brands when we're looking at them come from all walks. We've got, certain brands that are more white collar. Truly, they come back and they're looking for more of an executive type model. We also have brands where we do conversions. Maybe they are in the service space, like you said, heating and air. Maybe it's landscaping. Maybe we're or plumbing, where maybe there's contractors in that space where, hey, I need some help on actually putting business systems in place here, right? But that's also in a way unfair, because I would say the majority of the candidates that we're now awarding franchising to are people that are out there just looking to start a business, whether or not they've ever worked on air conditioning, whether they've ever turned a wrench on a plumbing, or mowed their own lawn. These are business owners that are building great businesses. So it is a great question. We see people from all walks of life, whether they're blue collar to white collar, that we can find a match for within the different brands.
And I think it's a key thing to kind of touch on a little bit further is the owners. I mean, maybe there's an exception in 50 some, like 5,000 some owners, but your owners aren't the doers, right? Like the grounds guy owner isn't like out there running the weed whacker all day long, right? They are really designed as business owners, building the business, leading the team, not like turning a wrench, swinging a hammer, running the lawnmower, correct?
That's right. We want people to really learn how to work on the business, not in the business. Nobody ever comes to us to become a better plumber. They come to us really to build a significant business that we help them. And there's many ways to do that. Is number one, you have to have the right model that they can just literally come in and start working on and building the team around, right? We look for people that have good leadership or management background, because truly in the service space, in the spaces we play in, I could say, Tim, getting customers is not the challenge whatsoever. It's Do we have a leader that's going to be able to build a team, love and serve their team members that are going to love and serve their customers to satisfy all the business that comes their way? So we work on that. And that's one of the big things in the service space is we focus on, and Neighborly's invested hundreds of thousands of dollars into it, which is how do you recruit, hire, train, retain, and compensate and recognize the best team members, right? So we have recruiting platforms and systems that help them become the preferred company in their community and their industry that people want to work at. So Tim, if we have owners that are, would work for themselves, right? Would you work for you? If that's a yes, and you are the preferred company in your community and your industry that people want to work at, guess what? It's not going to be hard to find good people. And that's what we really focus on from day one when we help our franchisees build their businesses.
Hey everyone, I wanted to take a quick break from our podcast to tell you about our amazing friends at Entrepreneur. If you're looking to become a franchisee or simply learn more about business ownership, and guys, let's be honest, you're listening to the Franchising 101 podcast, so we know you have some interest in this. And I really encourage you to go to entrepreneur.com to check out all of their great content and resources. Seriously, Entrepreneur has everything, all the way from a bookstore to the best podcasts, webinars, and videos, plus information on upcoming events and the latest articles that seriously, they cover all aspects of franchising and business ownership. If you're having trouble deciding which franchise is right for you, start with Entrepreneur's renowned Franchise 500 ranking, which highlights the best franchises of 2022. For 45 years and counting now, Entrepreneur has been and continues to be the most widely recognized and respected authority in the franchise market. Digital and print subscriptions are available, so you never miss out on anything. So seriously, what are you waiting for? Go to entrepreneur.com right now and learn more. And some of the many areas of support, I think just in franchising in general, but with you guys, it's like support on multiple doses of steroids, right? So like there's so many things to it, but hiring a pick a service thing, right? The landscaper, the craftsman, the plumber, somebody's going to go, man, I really want to own my own business. I love the concept of home service. I don't know how to hire or find like that staff person. The levels of support you guys have for that new owner to come in and go, hey, we know you've never hired anybody who's done that, but let me walk you through, whether it could be as simple as a job description or how to interview them, how to compensate them, how to take care of them. Like they ultimately have to do it, but you guys have like teams of people to help with that. And again, I think kind of lessens that initial fear of like, it sounds cool, but how in the heck am I going to, I don't know how to plumb anything. How can I manage plumbers? It's really not that difficult when you just follow the plan, right? So, you mentioned another thing that I think is, you just kind of said it so casually because you've been at Neighborly so long, and getting customers is not a problem, right? So, and it's not like, hey, become an owner of a Neighborly brand, kick your feet up and count the millions and just kind of roll in, right? But talk about the marketing, I'd say maybe even just like the marketing department and strategy, just kind of like I think the amount of people in there and some of the things that happen back and forth between the different brands to make you guys so confident. Hey, getting customers is not all that difficult.
Right. Well, as long as they do what they're supposed to, right? Implement the marketing plan and the strategies. We have over 200 dedicated, I want to say that again, 200 dedicated experts in different space, whether that's social media, whether that's SEO, whether that's paid media, whatever that is to drive business back to our franchisees. That direct mail for some of our brands, that's still a big key component to drive the leads, right? So we have these proven marketing strategies and plans. As a matter of fact, over those years that I mentioned to you, Tim, when I started when there were 7 brands and now we're at 32, a lot of that knowledge also came when we acquired other brands and brought them in-house. And we brought in a lot of great thought partners of things that we have learned from other brands out there that we've acquired that we've been able to incorporate into our other franchise brands. And what that has ultimately helped us do then, Tim, is you think of those brands that I just talked about. 19 of those are, by the way, in North America here. The other were in 9 countries. So all 32 brands, some of those were in the UK and Germany and so forth. But when you think about it, we have now what's called the Neighborly Hub. The Neighborly Hub is when we go into a market, take Waco, and you have a Mr. Rooter, a Glass Doctor, Mr. Appliance, all those brands, and you award a new franchise like a Grounds Guys or a Mosquito Joe to somebody new there. When they start marketing their business, they also have access to all those other Neighborly brands clients that we market to right away. So it allows them to go in and to leverage that customer base. And we have over 10 million active Neighborly customers today.
Crazy. And so, because again, it's one of those, like you talked about the overall concept of Neighborly, right? If I, as a homeowner, I trust you for, the Grounds Guys to come do that, and all of a sudden here comes something else in, right? Well, great. I've needed somebody new to clean my house. Here we go, right? I was wanting to, do some repairs, right? Boom, here we go. All of those things. And then I would guess also for a new owner, if there's, I don't know, half a dozen Neighborly brands already in the market, does that end up being a good resource for those owners to collaborate, to connect in the community and kind of share some resources and referral sources as well?
Absolutely, because they get together in their community. They even do home shows together. They do job fairs together. They leverage those resources in their community to become that trusted source. Here's the other interesting thing, Tim. A lot of our franchisees come in with one of our brands. And then what they say is, boy, I've already got this customer base that loves me. They think of the brand and the service that we have today. They'll add another Neighborly brand. Yeah. So for those that want to expand and grow, they have that opportunity as well because they already have the customer base of their own under their own umbrella. So if they're going to do a good job with one, they go, boy, I bet you're going to do great with this other service as well.
Right. No, absolutely. And I think that's a kind of a hidden element of franchising of how to scale, right? Is like we get, I'm going to own, one Subway, I'm going to have 5 of them around, right? Or I want one territory of this business. Maybe I'm going to get 2 or 3. But that multi-brand is, that's like, again, that's next level empire builder stuff. And when it's all right there, you're staying under the same umbrella and the same customers. Again, not only do they already trust Neighborly, they trust you, right? And maybe even some shared services with some staff from time to time with that, right? So the other thing that's always intrigued me with Neighborly is some of the buying power, right? So we need a vehicle, we need equipment, we need to go buy whatever supplies stuff, right? We're not like buying off the rack for any of those things. Talk a little bit about just kind of the massive nature of the buying power Neighborly's bringing to the table as well.
I will share with you, Tim, this is unique. I haven't seen it in a franchise in anywhere to this scale. Some of the brands that we own, my wife and I, even out in businesses, there's been 7 vendors, and you had to use them. And the disheartening thing about that was you could get it cheaper and maybe a better product or service locally than you had to. They used it as a way to generate income, right? And Neighborly doesn't do that. If you think about it, as a $4 billion company, Neighborly has better leverage to drive down the cost for their franchisees than an independent business owner does on their own. So they use that leverage to not only help get better pricing, but also provide rebates. So now, instead of having those 7, imagine within Neighborly, we have over 300 pre-qualified and approved vendors. We get 20 to 25 applications every week for somebody to say, hey, we want to have our product or service go out to all of your 5,500 franchise owners. Well, guess what? Neighborly has an incredible vetting program to say, if you're going to do this and you're going to be a vendor, we need to make sure your product and service are top notch, whatever you're providing, whether it's vehicles, whether it's uniforms, whether it's 401k, health insurance. We have all those for our franchisees, which is a big thing, right, Tim, for people starting a business. What happens to healthcare? Well, we have vendors for all those things. So those 300 vendors, will drive down the costs for our franchisees that nobody can compete with locally and provide rebates. And what kind of impact does that look like?
Yeah,
I've got statistics actually right here. It was in 2019, we gave away, we generated over $54 million in discounts on top of any savings they could have ever gotten on their own, and paid them back over $5 million in rebates. 2020, that went up to $64 million and $5.8 million in rebates. In 2021, Tim, it went over $91 million and $7.2 million in rebates. And I know that number for 2022, we're not done with the accounting yet, has grown significantly again. So this is money that drops down to the bottom line for our franchisees. It can offset the royalties. I don't know of another franchisor out there, Tim, that has ever sent checks back to their franchisees on a regular basis.
Right. And not taking any money off of the use of those things, right? So, and again, it's some of them may not be big things, but when at the end of the year you add that up, right, it makes, and when you're looking at the bottom line of your business, every dollar that you can get back, every dollar that you can get a better price because of you are part of one of these brands within Neighborly, that is huge, right? I know even like the vehicles, right? Like me walking off the street trying to go get the exact same vehicle a Neighborly owner is going to get through those partnerships, it's going to be totally different.
They get it better. They get it cheaper than employee pricing at the dealerships.
Yeah, it's crazy. So next time I'm ready for a new vehicle, I just call you and you guys hook me up, right?
So we'll get you our code.
As our boy John at Grounds Guys said, yeah, I can definitely do that right when you become a Grounds Guys owner. So
that's exactly right.
The other thing I wanted to kind of point out, because I know this is, again, and these are things that, like, to a point, every franchise is going to have support, right? And I think with you guys, it's the size, it's next level, but it's also the training and support, right? You guys have franchise business coaches, and I may be using the wrong internal term
right.
for that. So a new owner coming on board, like you've got multiple people within that onboarding process, and even within that, first several months that they're open, that is they're dedicated for their success. So talk a little bit about kind of what that looks like for a new owner.
Sure. As we kind of go through the quality decision-making process, and when we award a franchise, the first thing that happens is they get handed off to a SureStar coordinator. They literally have a timeline already set up from day one that was even before they were awarded a franchise. We even do that during our discovery process to make sure we match what would be best for them, but also with the brand for the opening and the brand and all that. So once they are with the SureStar coordinator, they're going to be doing a lot of training before they even come to our in-person week-long training on our campus. In Waco, we have over 800,000 square feet here on our campus here with training and office space. And then we also have our new HQ2, we call it, up in Las Colinas, near the DFW airport, where many of our brands are. So after that, they will get started with their franchise business coaches. So they'll not only have a dedicated franchise business coach in their first tier. So if they're in the first tier, second tier, third tier, why do I say tiers? Because as their business grows, they're going to have different needs at different levels, right? So we make sure we have coaches at all those levels to accommodate where they're going to be in their business at that time. So they not only get a franchise business coach dedicated, they get a local brand manager, a brand manager, a local marketing specialist, a technology specialist, as well as a technical specialist, whatever that technical side of their service space is. So it's not a one-time. And Tim, there's a lot of great franchisors out there. There really are. And they really do their darndest to support. But a lot of times, in some cases, the person that awards you a franchise is the one that's supporting you. We believe at Neighborly, in where we are, is we bring in specialists and experts at each level for our franchisees to help them through. So when they get awarded the franchise, we're there to cheer them on, but they're going to be taken care of on the back end by experts that know how to market their business, to know how to go out there and build it from when is it time, for example, when most of our brands can start from their home? Not all of them, but When is it time to leave your home and maybe lease an office space, right? When is it time to stop leasing a space and we coach them to buy a building and they sublet half of it out as an income producing asset? So it's all these types of things that we can really help our owners focus on achieving their goals that they've set out from the beginning.
Yeah, it's just it's crazy how many things are thought out. Or the one I always think of with that too is, like when is it time to get another vehicle and another employee, another crew, another technician, whatever. Like you get like this, it's not guesswork. You guys are going to know for each brand when you're at this mark, it is time to do that, right? And
Right.
if your goal is here, what are the steps to kind of create that plan? So,
Yep.
and again, as you said earlier, with something like it's this all sounds amazing, but like if you're gonna, I don't know how to better say it, if you're gonna sit on your ass all day and watch TV, it's not gonna work. If you're gonna not follow a well planned out process and template, it's not gonna work either, right? For that, so that's always that's across the board, right?
You're right. You're right. You've got to come in and really, you always hear this, and people probably hear it, but when you know your why, you can endure anyhow. It's fun. I will share with you, business is fun. Tim, you know it, you live it, you do it. My wife and I, we love it because not only has it allowed us to get to where we wanted for our family generationally, right? From a financial standpoint, as many other things, but it's also how many other people you can serve. Tim, I know where you're at in your life. You've done amazing. You've done so well. And you're like one of the people that has gone from success to significance. You're impacting people's lives. And that's truly where a lot of our business owners can get to where, yeah, you've got maybe some financial needs you want to meet for you personally and financially. But once you realize business is really come in and put the effort in and have fun with it, love people, serve people.
Yeah.
It really isn't, And by the way, if you're going to work hard for somebody else, you might as well work hard for yourself and reap the lion's share of the benefits.
Yeah, without question. And it's the phrase we use all the time. It's the get out of bed test, right? You're going to get out of bed. You're going to go do this. You got to, and again, even within Neighborly, like what might make one somebody a great owner for one brand might be bad for the next, right? It's still ultimately finding that right fit, but like get up, go have fun with it. It's not all rainbows and unicorns, but it's way the hell better than working for somebody else. So
that's right.
What's last thing, Pat, and I'm going to let you go. And this is a little bit of a loaded question, but anything else in particular that you would really want to share with us about Neighborly brands that maybe we haven't touched on yet?
Well, I would share with you in this home services space, this is really a neat time to consider it. And when I say, boy, Neighborly is, the largest in the world, Tim, I truly believe we are just getting started. I'm not kidding when I say that. What I mean by that is people that are coming into one of our brands right now are at such a huge advantage compared to all the pioneers that got us to this point, because you get to leverage all the customer resources and everything. And when you think about the home services space, think about the aging housing market. It's just continuing, to need the help that it does. The other thing is, which is interesting, is the DIYers, the do-it-yourselfers are becoming more do it for me, right? And we're seeing that over and over. Here's why my biggest wonder about this whole millennial market years ago was, oh my gosh, what's going to happen? Do you know that only 1 in 5, 20% of millennials, I saw this report that it said 1 out of 5 only could tell you the difference between a flathead screwdriver and a Phillips head screwdriver. Think about that. They are going to be needing some services. Also, our population is rising. Home ownership, rates are on the rise. We got over 90 million homes here in the U.S. and we're building 1 million a year. It's a very safe, reliable space that you can build as significant a business that you want. You're really not limited or capped. It's really what you go out and do.
Yeah. And again, it's never, ever going away, right? No. Like, again, hey, frozen yogurt, nothing wrong with frozen yogurt, but we can't guarantee that's here to stay, right? Home service, all of these things, it's always going to be there. So
you're not going to outsource that, right?
Right, exactly, right. So This is awesome. Pat, thank you so much for your time and coming on to talk to us today about Neighborly.
Yeah, I appreciate you. I appreciate the partnership. I really, for your listeners, if I could just say one thing, uh, look into business ownership. It is by far the one thing that has changed people's lives for the better that I've seen over and over and over again. And really, when you think about it, what is the thing that prevents somebody from going forward and not going forward it's well, what's that old adage, Tim? Fear is false evidence appearing real. Do your
Right.
homework. Work with Tim. Work with his team. Do your homework. Figure out what's real and what's not. And I wish everybody the best.
Awesome. Thank you, my friend. And again, if you're listening to the Franchising 101 podcast for the last 30 minutes, you are interested in this. So reach out to us, FranCoach.net, Franchising101podcast.net. It's never any fee for our service. Let's figure out if you should be doing this and which thing is best for you. So Pat, everybody, thanks for tuning in. We look forward to chatting with you next week. Have a great day.
Thanks for listening to FranCoach's Franchising 101 podcast, where our ultimate goal is to help educate you on all things franchising so you can create your better tomorrow.